If you have surplus military firearms, such as my previous videos, a secondary thing that might become collection-wise is bayonets, as well as other things, oilers, and even bayonet frogs. I have a small collection of bayonets that have come along with collecting the military surplus firearms, and I thought I'd show you some of my favorites. There's so many on the wall and packed with so much history, it'd be difficult to hit them all and explain what they are, when they were made, where they were made, and what rifle they fit. Now, so I'm going to start with a few of my favorites and just give you a look, and so you can see what the markings look like on an authentic bayonet rather than a reproduced one, which are fairly common these days because they are climbing in price, some of the rarer ones and more popular ones. So the first one I'm going to start with, I have in my hand and I'll put it in front of the camera here, is from the United States, M1905. This is the full-length bayonet. Was designed for use on the Springfield 1903, and this one particular one is from the Springfield Armory, was built in 1908. Now this is the second, I'll hold it up here, this is the second type sheath that this bayonet came in. It's actually a wood sheath covered in rawhide, and then an outer sheath of canvas with leather on the tip. This, the first bayonet sheath was actually made out of leather, and this is the second. There's a third style also, and I have that. I'll show it to you. Here's the markings on it. I'll start with this side. Springfield Armory, the flaming bomb. Each arsenal kind of had their own version of the flaming bomb, and the date of manufacture, 1908. And of course on this side, serial number and the US mark. And this one has the wood grips, been re-arsenaled and well used, so they're smooth. It should probably actually have a scaling type, I will call it, on it. It's kind of a rough texture, almost old looking in itself before its time, but these have been worn pretty smooth, and then as a consequence I was able to get this bayonet quite a bit cheaper than it normally would run. These are high-end bayonets as far as the collector's market goes right now, especially the uncut ones. Now the fuller on this blade stops short of the tip, as you can see there, and with that be an indicator of it being an uncut bayonet. And with that, I'll move on to the second bayonet, also in 1905. However, this one, as you can see, hold it out there, is quite a bit shorter. It's, my collectors call this a 1905 E1. The E1 designating the shorter blade, and we can see the fuller on the blade goes all the way to the tip, indicating it was cut down. The markings on the blade, this one was made by the Union Fork and Hoe. There you can see the different style of flaming bomb that the Union Fork and Hoe had. 1942 when this was built, and you can see a serial number on the cross piece. That's not indicative of the United States. That's actually done by the country that this was exported to. As also the grips were installed there, kind of rustic looking plastic grips. They're replacement grips actually, and don't fit all that well, as you can see. That's pretty typical of this particular bayonet, which came from Egypt. It's a re-import from Egypt. And the sheath, with the typical style sheath that these are found in. Has some Egyptian markings on it, and it also is, as you can see, the EUS, European US for export, the flaming bomb. Normally this would have just had the US with a flaming bomb. The next style of sheath I'll show you though, for the 1905 full-length sheath, as you can see, I'll hold it up here. It is full length. It's the typical reinforced fiberglass type painted. This one, set this other one down, has, rather than the US flaming bomb again though, actually is USN Mark 1. These were actually designed for a practice bayonet, a plastic bladed practice bayonet. And however, sheaths had a tendency to wear out, and some were replaced with these practice bayonet sheaths and used in the field. Pretty common to see this sheath on a 1905 bayonet. And next I'm going to go over to the wall and I'll pull down a bayonet off of the wall. One of my, just like I said, these are just some of my favorites. We'll grab this one out of the sheath. This is a French bayonet, sword bayonet. It's known as a Yagaten blade because of the curve in the blade. If I hold it this way, you can see the curve in the blade. And the neat thing about this bayonet, particularly on the sheath, I'll zoom in on the sheath real quick here that I pulled it out of. You can see that it has a German frog stud on it. Now that German frog stud was placed there after it was captured by Germany, and the frog itself is also German, has a German stamp on it. The original points of the frog stud are still there. Would have been a bridge style, which is on this French bayonet, which it has the belt buckle type attachment that goes to the bridge on the bayonet, as you can see right there. And that's a Gras bayonet. It was the next in line after the Chassepot. However, some Gras rifles were fitted with the Chassepot bayonet, particularly the one I have, the brass fixtured military police, mounted police actually. And it would have come with this brass hilted type bayonet here. Get the camera to focus a little better. These bayonets are a lot of fun because they're so easy to date, because, flip it over here, the date is right on the spline of the bayonet. And this is a very early one. You can see it's an Imperial bayonet. That's 7BRE is October 1868 was when this was manufactured. And CHATT, that is the arsenal that it was manufactured at. And the MRE, and then the Imperial mark. There's a second one up on the wall also. No sheath on it. It's up on the top there, and there's a Gras right below it. I'll zoom in a little bit on that one. That one is a later bayonet. It's exactly the same as far as build, just the date is a little bit later. In fact, that one is 1872. Again, these are model 1866 bayonets. And the graw right below it is known as the 1874, model 1874. And that particular one was 1872 when it was built, and the one in the sheath that I was demonstrating on the sheath right there is in fact from, I gotta find in my notes exactly when it was built. 1879 was when that one was built. So a lot of history in these bayonets, a lot of interesting markings, and I'm going to switch now to another bayonet. We'll fit this one back in its sheath here real quick. And we'll just switch to this one right here. You can see this one is a German bayonet, modified, and it's a capture, another capture bayonet by either Turkey or Yugoslavia. Not certain who actually would have captured this bayonet. There's the maker on it. It is Richard A. Herder. A lot of wear on that. You can see the typical German bayonet grips. Another well-used bayonet. The flash guard been beat up pretty good. This bayonet, as you know, is known as the butcher blade bayonet because they would have been quite a bit longer than this. Again, the fuller goes all the way to the tip, indicating it was cut down in the rearsenal process. This bayonet is known as the 9805, and it also has, as you can see, an original sheath and frog. The sheath also was cut down. The frog also has a lot of wear on it, tremendous amount of wear. And then the tip was cut, and a new throat was also installed in it. And it has the Turkish style bayonet stud, or the frog stud rather, and I can show you another Turkish bayonet right there. That is a Turkish bayonet. You can see the little embellishment on it. But the Yugoslavian bayonets, as we can see by that one right there, has the German style frog stud on it, which makes me to believe this bayonet may have been Turkish when it was recaptured. This one here also is a Yugoslavian capture, another German bayonet, and we will grab it and take a quick look at it too. This one has the later Bakelite grips on it. It's a little bit later bayonet. See if we can get a focus here. And it does have the German markings still present on it. They often ground them off. I don't know if that's going to show up, but right underneath the flash guard there is a German eagle present with the swastika. If I pull the flash guard off, it becomes very evident to see. There we go. Now we can see it just a little bit there. This one fits on the K98. I do have a Yugoslavian K98. Now it does have the dark finish on the blade that they would have applied, typical for them to do that. WKC, German manufacturer. And then again the serial number, both the German serial number on the blade and the blade, the crossguard serial number applied by Yugoslavian. This also has a date present on the spline of the blade. There we go, 1940. The other one, unfortunately, is wore off. It would have been quite a bit early, the other German bayonet. But with that, we will have to continue with this probably and see if we can't look at some of the other bayonets that are on the wall. Some of them just tremendously fascinating, such as a rolling block number 5 bayonet, and which is that one right there. Even though it looks European, it was built by Remington. And the Japanese Arasaka bayonet hanging back there, the Type 30, and various other ones that we should get into and take a closer look at. If you have anything of these you might show some interest in and recognize them and want to know what they're for, just let me know.